Hello and welcome to another video tutorial here on understanding body language, liars, cheats and happy feet. I hope everyone was alright and had a good weekend. Now, I've not done a criminology video for quite a while, so I think there's no time like the present to do another one. So the video I've got lined up for you today is Russell Williams, and I don't know if you know who he is, but he was convicted of murder this time last year. So the confessions and the interrogation tapes were leaked onto YouTube, so I want to just have a look at them before they get taken off. So let's start this. Now I'm going to look at part 3 first, and we'll have a look at part 2 and part 1 at a later date. So let's see if we can spot anything here.
What my wife must be going through right now. Yeah.
So, now bearing in mind this was not the start of the interview, this is part 3, so we can't get a real understanding of his baselines, what he does naturally and what he does normally. However, in this pose you can clearly see a defensive barrier with the arms folded, so that's very significant. Bearing in mind, an innocent person would generally show more illustrators, which are use of the hands like this to emphasize the size of something or the strength or the movement. This guy here is making something called manipulators, which is these potentially in the right circumstances can show signs of stress, which he is clearly showing here with the arm fold. It might be cold in the interrogation room. So don't just perceive this as being negative. There might be an actual psychological and physiological reason why he's folding his arms. However, I don't think it's overly cold in there. So in that position there, it's not a good indicator of innocence.
Canadian forces. Where do we go?
Now again, it's quite difficult to get an understanding of what's actually happening here because this interview has been quite edited, and different bits have been edited together, so we don't know which bits we're actually seeing, if it's the before, previous, or after. Here we can clearly see the hand. The left hand now is moved up to the side of the face, so again indicative of stress around the temple area. So again, we can see that the heat is being turned up slightly by Jim Smith, the interrogator, and we can clearly see this chap here. Russ is starting to crack slightly. What this is a great example of is silence. Now, silence to a guilty person is horrendous because when you're silent, it's up to you then to break that silence, and more often than not, you will often confess during that silent period. So what this guy doing here is silently turning the screw. So this example here of deathly silence is fantastic because this guy will feel that the walls are closing in.
Chris, is there anything you want from me? Is there anything you want me to explain? Is there something missing that you're struggling with that I can shed some light on for you?
And that's a great example of how to build rapport with the suspect. If we also notice here as well, he doesn't just use his words, he uses his body language as well. Look at those open palm gestures.
Is there anything you want me to explain? Is there something missing that you're struggling with?
Open palm gestures are great. They show we've got no concealed weapons. That's the old anatomic point of view. We've got no concealed weapons. I want to be a friend. I'm trusting. You can believe me. We all do this with our palms open by that little turn of the hand, just like that. The suspect will have clocked that, and it's a good way of building silent rapport.
Shed some light on for you.
So he's actually being helpful, and that's a great interrogation technique, is by building good rapport.
I'm struggling with how upset my wife is right now. Russ, what are you looking for?
So he's moved into the camera now.
I'm concerned that they're tearing apart my wife's brand new house. So am I. But if nobody tells them what's there and what's not, they don't have any choice.
So we're back to his original stance.
Computers will be brought to Microsoft in California. They'll be picked apart. You can't erase things from computers.
Now listen to this bit.
I'm sure you've seen that. I'm sure that's pretty common.
This bit is crucial.
These days. It just doesn't happen. They sell programs that to try and help people clean their computers or stuff, and our guys are pulling that stuff out all the time. The FBI is pulling that stuff out all the time.
So he's not moving at all.
This investigation will end up costing no less than $10 million.
And we can see here now that when the interrogator says $10 million, we can see the breathing rate increase.
This investigation will end up costing no less than $10 million.
Big deep breath in. Now that little section there is one of the most key points of this interrogation, because the suspect is hoping for inconsistencies in the story, and he's looking for incompetence by the interrogator and the rest of the suspect team. He's looking for, hopefully, these guys will make a mistake, because he knows that he's guilty. He knows that he's done this, but these guys don't know that he's done it, because hopefully they've got no evidence to suggest that. So an innocent person is fearful that the interrogator might make a mistake, whereas a guilty person is hoping that they will make a mistake. However, by saying that there's unlimited funds available for this, that rules out the possibility of getting this wrong. So by just adding that little bit of section in there, it removes the doubt that there's going to be any foul play or any balls up in this investigation. And watch his reaction.
This investigation will end up costing no less than $10 million.
So he just hit with that, going through his mind that now there is a small chance.
And they will say no to nothing.
That's it.
Any request this major case manager makes on this case, they've already been told it's approved. Don't even bother asking.
So let's see what response the suspect gives to that. There you go. And look at that particular body language there. He drops the head down to break eye contact. The head goes down. The hand goes above the forehead. And look at that. Now that is a massive indicator of stress. Massive stress. And did you also know what happened then as well? That was absolutely perfect timing by the interrogator. So the hands go down. There. They go to the side of the mouth. But watch this excellent use of mirroring by the interrogator here. He mirrors back what the suspect did then. Watch it one more time. That is fantastic. He clocked it. He mirrored it. Fantastic way of building rapport. So if the interrogator is mirroring what the suspect's doing, he's got more chance of gaining confession, because the rapport is being built all the time. So now the reason why he's done that, he's sunk into an even bigger silence, is because the stress has been placed on the suspect now, because the interrogator has just said there is going to be limitless funds available for this case. So there is less chance of evidence going walkabout, and there's less chance of them getting this wrong. With limitless funds of $10 million being assigned to this case, they're going to get everything spot on. All the DNA evidence, all the witnesses, everything's going to be spot on. So it rules out the possibility of them being incompetent with the evidence. So he knows this. And that's why he's made a great big manipulator there. So he's placing these hands over his mouth and the side of his cheek.
I put my best foot forward here for you, bud.
So it's an excellent use of mirroring again here by the interrogator.
I don't know what else to do to make...
And that's great, because as soon as he breaks it, the interrogator breaks it as well.
I really have.
There you go, look at that.
I don't know what else to do to make you understand the impact of what's happening here.
So now he moves the body forwards. He's in a thinking stance here. He's trying to think his way out. And applying the extra silence for emphasis as well.
Did we talk?
I want to minimize the impact on my wife.
So do I.
So I want to minimise the impact on my wife. So he's not actually saying what he's talking about there. Obviously, we can assume he's talking about these murders, but he's not actually said anything to confess yet. But that's a good indicator, and that's come with the rapport that this interrogator, Jim Smith, has placed on.
Well, we start by telling the truth.
So we can see the silence is deeply kicking in now. And it just continues.
Okay.
So the last thing the interrogator says is start with the truth. And he says, okay. And the video ends roughly around about there. So in the end, he does confess, but I've not seen those tapes yet. But this is a great example of how to interrogate a suspect. This is great. So don't forget, when someone's brought in here and they are innocent and they know full well they're innocent, they'll be showing lots of illustrators to show that they are truly innocent of what they've done. They'll be using open palm gestures, they'll be talking a lot, they'll be trying to find out the person who actually did this crime because they don't want the blame placed on them. Whereas a guilty person is completely opposite. A guilty person will generally be quite quiet because he needs time to try and create his answers, to try and falsify information, because the actual truth is he did something wrong. What the interrogator does here, he applies heat on the suspect even, because he wants to show them there is limitless funds available for this investigation. So if he knows that, then he knows full well there's less chance of incompetencies happening throughout this investigation. So that turns the heat upon him. We see his initial reaction when he says that, by the hands going straight down like this. Let's just straight back again. It's roughly around about here.
I don't know what else to do
And don't forget about the mirroring here. That's a fantastic use of mirroring by the two parties here. So again, building silent rapport with the suspect is a great way to gain a confession, and this is a great interrogation technique as well. Body language sense, it's easy to see. We've got defensive arm clusters here. We see flashes of anger. We don't see many micro expressions from this guy here, but it's very difficult from a bird's eye perspective here as well. So there we go. So it's a bit different than the Ian Huntley one, because bearing in mind he did a lot of talking throughout that interview. Here we can see this chap here is very silent, but we can see it's completely different, because that video that Ian Huntley did was live on Sky TV, and he was an interviewer. And that wasn't in a criminal environment. That wasn't in a police setting. This is obviously in an interrogation room in a police station somewhere. In Canada or the States, so it's different. So he's going to have different fears than Ian Huntley did. But in the same respect here, you can clearly see the body language sense of here, but this is a lot easier to read body language-wise, because we've seen a lot of closed gestures and things like that. So there you go. So that's that interview taken care of on understanding body language. If you'd like to learn more about body language, please check out my body language page on Facebook. It's called Understanding Body Language, Liars, Cheats and Happy Feet. I do a lot of work on all sorts of body language fun and things on there. So if you're interested in learning more about body language, please check that out. I'm also on Twitter. Just type in @BodyLanguageUK. Try and update that as well. And I do hope you enjoyed that video tutorial, that new Criminology video tutorial on understanding body language. So for everyone here, take care and bye-bye for now.